Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Tired of hot, uncomfortable dress shirts that don't hold up? Meet Serve Clothing. The mesh collar shield blocks sweat stains, and built-in vents keep you comfortable under suits, all backed by a 2-year guarantee. Right now is your chance to get the best for free. Head to serveclothing.com/win. Enter for a chance to win $500 in free Serve shirts. serveclothing.com/win. Dress shirts that actually serve you. No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents aged 18 or older. Void where prohibited. Entry must be received by May 31st, 2026. Official rules and details at serveclothing.com/win.
Okay, the Jazz, they are in Denver tonight. Phoenix tomorrow, a 2-game road trip. 9 games left. This looks like they surprised me by losing, especially in the manner that they did, to the Washington Wizards the other night, but obviously going up against Denver, which is one of the better teams in the league. And I think people are sleeping on Denver, so I would think that the Jazz would have a relatively easy time losing tonight. Can they compete? Yeah, maybe so. We'll see how that goes. But I do think Denver's a team to watch out, even though they're sitting, what are they, like 4th in the Western Conference. Joining us now is the play-by-play man, David Locke. You got Riley Jensen and me. Mr. Locke, good morning. How are you?
Every Friday morning, I wake up and I know my week is complete because I get to spend it with 2 of the legends of all time, David James and Patrick Hand. I get 30 minutes through osmosis, through the phone line, where I get connected to greatness, pure genius, consistency, day in and day out. And yet today, they bring in someone who might be much more helpful to me in life than either David James or Patrick Hand. They bring Riley Jensen. They finally figured it out that the lunatic is actually on the edge, not going to actually make it through every day, and needs a little guidance from a professional. Riley Jensen, great to chat with you.
Wow. I mean, with that kind of an intro, I mean, I got to come up with like a pretty good question here.
Well, you don't have to come up with anything because PK has led me into my favorite conversation right now, and what was like my entire dinner conversation last night, and what I'm super fired up about, and that is like the weird dynamics of a bunch of teams in the Western Conference right now. So let's talk about it, PK.
Yeah, I think that the Nuggets, I like them. I didn't like them as much last year. Obviously, they won the title a couple years back, but then I thought they lost stuff. And now I think to what level remains to be seen, but I think they're closer to what they were when they won the title this year than they've been in the last couple.
Okay, so I'm assuming there's a question mark on the end of that. I'll just continue.
Yeah.
So first thing I would say, and then also you're going to have to interrupt me here because this is like I'm in a diarrhea of the mouth here because I have so many thoughts. So they're who I picked to win it. So from the beginning of the year, I don't like what I've seen that much this year.
Why not?
I just feel like first of all, they're not closing games like they used to. And maybe that's just a few injuries. Cameron Johnson really has been a disappointment.
He has. I
hasn't
agree.
melded nearly as well. And there's just something there's something a little off on them. It's been surprising to me. Their offense is the best in the NBA. I think that really matters. I guess when they get down to it, defensively, they'll probably buck up in the playoffs, and maybe they still are the right pick. And Jokic is just incredible. And then there are a bunch of metrics that actually the slower the game gets, the better they get. And so I think that'll help them, and they're actually offensive rebounding a little bit. But there's 2 things that just don't feel right to me. One is the fact that they've just had so many injuries. And if you look through the history of the league, and they're finally healthy, it's not an injury report with 13 players on it like I've been watching all week, is that those teams actually don't usually, they'll get healthy and they'll pull it together. That actually doesn't usually happen for whatever reason. And so I'm a little concerned on that. And then just late game stuff, the Jokic, Murray, pure dominance, late in the game, just always making plays, always just hasn't been there this year. And I'm just a big believer that the late game is the best indicator of what's happening. This is where I will continue. The flip side is Houston. Houston is so jacked. The other word starts with an F. They are like, I don't know the word to use because the only words to use on them correctly are swear words. I've never seen a team so jacked up. Like, they're ruined. They're destroyed. Their game against Minnesota the other night, watching their late game, I mean, Durant literally ran around the floor for 4 minutes just pouting. Hands up in the corner like he was a 12-year-old. Why don't I get the ball? Hands on the hip. Udoka has to call timeout to get him back focused. He then goes scores 11 straight to bring them back in the game. And Alfred Sengun's like, well, I want the ball. So he takes the ball at the top and starts dribbling and going one-on-one from 35 feet because he knows there's zero chance he can go post up and get a ball from anyone. Amon Thompson the whole time is just sitting around wondering, when do I get my turn? They've looked that way all year. All year long, I've said, if you watch Houston late games, it looks like a tug-of-war. Now it doesn't look like a tug-of-war. Now it just looks like a flat-out street brawl of how much they each want the ball and don't like each other. Alfred Sengun makes this unbelievable play late in the game where he blocks a Julius Randle layup where Durant had fouled him, goes over the top, saves the game with a block shot, bloodies his mouth. Durant doesn't pick him up, give him a high five or anything. They're out in the first round. They hate each other. How's that? There's the flip side. The West is crazy right now. Minnesota can't do anything but play isolation. They keep trying. Chris Finch keeps trying to put in this motion offense and do all these other things with them right now, and they can't do anything but play isolation. Julius Randle just can't help himself. And frankly, the minute Julius Randle starts playing isolation, then Ant starts playing isolation when he's not in right now. And they don't have a point guard. Neither Houston or Minnesota have a point guard. And it's actually kind of an interesting thing in this positionless style that you need that guy. Houston desperately misses Fred VanVleet, if you really believe he's a point guard. Mike Conley did start the other night, but only because they were desperate, and he just doesn't have it. His legs are gone. I think he's like 3 of his last 40 from 3.
Yeah.
He can't play in the playoffs. So those two teams, here are these two loaded teams that are like, you know, supposed to be really good. Minnesota's back-to-back Western Conference Finals, and I watched them. Part of me wonders if Minnesota could click back in. They just know how to play in the playoffs or something. Houston, I would just love to play them in the first round. I mean, Durant's scary, but I would just love to play them in the first round if I was another team. And then you have, I'm just going to keep going. I mean, this was last night's dinner. This was awesome. We just all were talking about it. The Lakers are hot right now, but it's actually 3-point variance. Opponents have gone, all of a sudden, shooting 30% from 3 against them. That's just luck. If you put the number back to normal, their defense goes back to 18th or 19th. So back to Denver. Yes, Denver is probably the third competitor to San Antonio and Oklahoma City, but to me, they just don't feel quite right. How's that? I actually tied it up in a bow at the end.
Yeah.
So, Riley, if you had a patient that just started babbling for 17 straight minutes, what would you do?
I would continue to listen, and then I would probably raise my eyebrow and repeat the last 4 words that you said and put a question mark on it and keep you talking.
No, keep me going. Okay.
Yeah,
I like it.
Because the more information I get, the better I can help.
You know, Larry King. You guys remember Larry King, the old show on CNN?
His son,
married to
his son lives here in Utah.
Okay, so he was the greatest interviewer ever in the history of television, and I studied. He had books of all his interviews, and I read them all and studied them. And the most common questions he asked: how, why, explain. He asked more one-word questions, and just gave his guests momentum.
Yeah. I loved what you went through there. I mean, I was particularly interested in Houston when you're talking about all this body language and all these guys fighting for the ball. It was a little bit what we talked about yesterday with constructing a team with Tim Lacombe and how you can't just have 7 guys that are fighting each other for the ball. You have to have a couple of guys that score and then a couple of guys that are willing to play the roles that need to be played in basketball. And it sounds like that's what's happening at Houston right now.
And let's be really honest about it, by the way. We're going to be really, really good next year. We're going to deal with this.
Well, I wanted to ask you about this. I think did you tweet a little while ago something about the myth of losing culture? Did I see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a big joke.
So
this is the biggest joke in the NBA.
So this is the one thing that I want to ask you though. What's What's the thing that you're seeing from the young players this season that makes you optimistic about how quickly they can turn it around next year? Because I think that's the big question for everybody, right?
Yeah, so there's about three things here. This is long. We could do a dissertation on this. So, okay, the first thing is that our culture changed the minute we traded for Jaren Jackson Jr. Like, I literally can tell you the day it happened. We went from being bad to being good, just talent-wise.
Yeah.
There's no sport in the world where an individual player can change. This is why we have tanking. There's no sport in the world where one individual player changes the entire dynamics of a team. In football, you can get a quarterback. You still got to have an offensive line. But in basketball, if you just get that guy, it's different. So Cleveland lost 62 games and LeBron resigned, and their culture changed the next day. And they were great. So that's the first thing. The second thing about this that I think people really misunderstand about the NBA, and it's the biggest misnomer in the league, is continuity. To me, when I hear a general manager tell me about continuity, that means you copped out and didn't do your job in the offseason. Because you know what? There's actually nothing continuous. The season stops, and then it starts again 5 months later. Everyone's contract's on a different status. Everybody's at a different stage in their career than they just were. There isn't actually continuity. You might have togetherness. You might have a Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic relationship that is your two best players, and you're building off that. But you're changing every piece around it. There's no such thing as continuity. The best way it's been described to me by an NBA coach, without being disrespectful to the people that put in their lives, it's like being on a military assignment. And you go for a period of time with a group of people, and you come back, and then they send you back out again. And with no disrespect to the fact that those people are risking their lives, right? Like, that's a very different concept, but at least conceptually from a group culture standpoint, if you read Sebastian Junger's Tribe, it's a very good parallel. So the culture changes on October 1st of the next year, immediately on the first day, because it's different people. And the other one is just that there's just no track record that shows you can, that the players, if there's a cultural problem, it's not the players, it's the ownership. You have bad ownership or bad management or an inability to get good players, and that's incompetence. I'm not sure it's culture.
That's fair.
Now, you can have Kevin Durant, Alfred Sengun, and Amon Thompson, and I just made a pretty good case they got a busted culture. Right? I'm watching that team. Yeah. That team has no culture, but that has nothing to do with that. That might exist, but that doesn't have to do with losing. It actually has to do with the opposite. I might argue that, and Will has been very outspoken about how proud he is of his guys, that they've held together. The cultural issue that you would have in this group would be that Isaiah Collier looks at Keontae Jordan like, you are sitting in front of $50 million from me, and I'm just not going to play along with you. And that Bryce Sensabaugh looks at Blake Hinton when he comes in like, I'm not playing along with you either because you're sitting in front of my $40 million. And these guys haven't done that, which is great. But the fact of the matter is, when we're really, really good, 4 of them are going to be on the team.
Understood. I think that you hear coaches talk about this all the time. In order to win, people have to sacrifice, right? So you got somebody like Keontae George, who this season, as he's had a breakout, really hasn't had to sacrifice. What type of adjustments will this team have to have when they are sacrificing for the sake of winning?
No, I think this should be, how we do a hypothetical conversation about this every single day in the offseason on something we've never seen before. I don't know, but this should be the conversation of the offseason. Because right now, Lauri Markkanen probably, I don't have the numbers in front of me if you pull it up, but I guess Lauri Markkanen takes about 17, 18 shots a game. And Jaren Jackson's going to want 17 or 18 shots a game. And Ace Bailey's going to be ready for 16 or 17 shots a game. And Keontae George is trying to prove that he's an all-star, and he's going to want 18 shots a game.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Right.
Because that's 75 shots, and there's only 86 a game, and they're not all playing together. So this is going to be an issue. We're great. I'm so glad this is our issue, right? But we're going to be really, really, really good next year. And we're going to have an issue. And, and purely on Keontae, to the level of this is, to some extent, Keontae's been amazing this year. Let me be perfectly clear. It's awesome the work he and his assistant coach Chris Jones have done and the way Keontae's grown. And as a human, how he's grown has been, Riley would be one of the coolest things you've ever been around. As a sports psychologist, to watch Keontae this year, day to day, would be one of the coolest things you've ever been around. Okay, right. With that said, he's ranked as the worst defensive player in the NBA for 2 years in a row. And that's cute when you lose 60 games a year and no one really says anything. But when you're trying to win 55 games a year, that's not okay anymore.
Yep.
Like, this has been, like, miserably difficult in the sense of, like, you're losing and there's not this. But there's nothing even hard about this. What's really, really, really hard in the NBA is to win 55 games. And Denver, to me, a little bit, when we go back to Denver, what Denver looks like to me a little bit is that it's just been hard for a long time and they're a little off. Maybe tired. Maybe it's just worn them down a little bit. They've been trying to win for a long time. And it's really a lot of work to win in the league. It's a lot easier to roll out and play 48 minutes with no intention to win.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I mean, you didn't even talk about Walker Kessler and his FGAs because this season, I mean, mind-blowingly enough, he shot 75% from the three-point line.
Right, in his 4 games, yes. But Walker Kessler's not going to want one shot a game. Right? I mean,
he's not going to play defense if you're going to give him one shot a game.
Right. I mean, Quinn Snyder used to always say, like, you know, hey, we got to slow the game down a little bit and put the ball in Rudy's hands and let him touch it and hand it off and do a few things with it, or else he's not coming back to play defense on the other side.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And, like, I know everybody wants Zubac back, which we could have some long debate about, but, like, he's a very high possession usage center and the least efficient center in the NBA offensively.
Yeah. And you didn't even mention about Ace Bailey's development because it might get stifled.
Right. Well, I don't think you can stifle that.
Well, I mean, you got these high-end dudes who want, and Lowry's averaging 19 shots a game. As you say.
No, this is real.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the first things is Will's going to have to really, this is what will be interesting, is Will has always been a very fluid coach. And I'm not sure he's going to be able to be nearly as fluid with his substitution patterns, because I think he's going to have to be very regimented that, okay, Lowry likes to play 3 stints, so we open the game in the first 6 minutes, they're all on the floor. But at the 6-minute mark, Lowry goes out, and so does Keontae. And the backup point guard comes in with now Ace Bailey and Jaren Jackson are getting the possessions. And then at the 9-minute mark, you know, Jaren Jackson goes out, and then Ace Bailey's getting the possessions for the next 3 minutes. And then Lowry comes back in and shares them with, like, I think there's going to have to be something really a lot of, like, which 2 guys are on the floor at the same time to be able to make sure that everyone gets their touches and their allocation. It's going to be really complicated. Great. I love this.
Yeah, I do too.
We could be really, really good, but it's not simple.
And I love this discussion. We got to go, though. We appreciate it, and we'll continue it, obviously, because this will be the discussion point for the Jazz relative to what they need to do over the summer and the draft pick and all that stuff. So, anyway, thanks for your time, man. We appreciate it.
Riley Jensen, will you do me a favor?
Sure.
PK has my new phone number because you don't have it.
Oh.
Will you drop me just a text and give me a quick update on how you are?
Yep.
I'd love to hear it.
Would love to.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
man. Appreciate it.
Right.
PK, you're the best. Love you, man.
All right, you too. That's the Locke man. We sure appreciate his time coming on. Fascinating stuff. And then we got a little bit of time. We can explore that coming up in the next segment. Top of the hour, we have Gordon Monson coming on. So stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You deserve to feel better today. At Harper Clinic, patients report sleeping deeper, thinking clearer, and feeling stronger. Because mental health care is more than emotions. It's about your whole body. Work to lower your blood pressure, even boost your immune system. Get help to manage stress, focus, and reconnect. If you're facing anxiety, depression, or just feeling stuck, call Harper Clinic, 801-306-2345, 801-306-2345 to start feeling better.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.